Hello, this is Jairo Cisneros. I'm here to talk about the my project about writing and how does it relate to physics itself, because physics has a relationship and connection to everything. And from what I have chosen is the use of writing within the physics. So to get things started, I want to give a congratulations and thanks for my teacher, Miss Fariba Ansari. And here's my presentation. So, what does it represent in the writing and physics altogether? So, we explore the relationship between physics and writing, uncovering their unexpected interaction. While physics may and writing may seem distant, they share a symbolic connection. Firstly, writing plays a crucial part in our everyday lives, in almost anything. So, what does it have that connects the writing and physics? You may ask. Well, firstly, physics has the principles that have some sort of creativity to be incorporated into stories and also being added in research, such in writing for research purposes, such in when discovering things in physics, numbers, and many others. That's how many of scientists and physicists in the world try to do their experiments in many different ways and write their findings in the physics area. So, to further ado, I will be talking about the two main topics that actually connects the writing with the physics. Well, two of the not the main ones, but two that actually I have picked for this particular presentation. So moving along, first, from the two topics I picked, first the research papers and publications, which co-aligns the physics research and the writing at the same time. So research papers and publications are integrating part of a scientific progress, providing a platform for scientific communicate their experiments, theories, and hypotheses. This structure approaches allows for the effectiveness of distribution and of knowledge within the scientific community while ensuring clarity, accessibility to the readers. So, what does that actually mean? So, basically, it's a very detailed form of saying that they use the writing to ensure their progress, their hypotheses, their theories, and experiments are well described and well detailed of how things in physics work. Not only that, things that they may discover in the process of their experiments during physics. And there has been an annotation, thank you, based on one of the websites that I have found about this. For example, Larry Reed emphasizes the importance of clear writing in physics, stating, the more comprehensive the writing and talking we do, physicists do, the stronger and more comfortable will be the overall connection between scientists, science, and society. So I got that from a website, which I will annotate later on in the presentation. Now, let's move on to the second part of the writing in connection to the physics of this presentation. The next one, which I chose, which may seem a little bit out of place in a way, but it sort of connects in a way at the same time. It would be the using physics within writing, in the writing of telling stories, such as in comics, uh, animes, manga, and all that stuff. Now, we know, now it may seem really ridiculous to think, how does storytelling and physics co-align together in the writing area and the physics area together? So I came with some research about it, and I discovered that some of the stories or comics or mangas that we read and the animes that get produced afterwards, the writing of the mangas and stories that we hear mostly on any kind of storytelling, sometimes then to they people tend to use the scientific method to make also stories, using the laws of physics or mixing it up a little in the story to make them more entertaining, understanding the logic on the physics on the stories, such as energies, powers, numbers, and all sorts of inconsistencies in the scientific community or in the physics community. And that's why some of the writers try to make physics look either legit or make them look a little bit over the top, which means make them look like how did that person did this? How did that happen in that? And though even though it's just fantasy, it still brings a lot of questions of how things were processed in the logic of physics in many of these stories, many of these mangas, and many of these storytellings. Now, continuing with that part of the presentation, it says the integration of physics narrates stories, animes, and comics, engaging in teaching approach the highlights of importance, writing connections in physics. In here, there's an example of a professor called Professor James Kakalios from the University of Minnesota, is notable advocate who uses comic book heroes to explain fundamental principles to students. It's based on the American Physicists Society, based on his logics. So, what does he mean? He tries to use the base in logic or in physics on characters which are imaginary, which things that may seem impossible, things that he or other characters on related stories that are just fantasies try to make the physics in all those things that those characters, those weird fantasy like characters do, try to find the logic and the physics within the stories and within the mangas, within the animes and the writing that they write those things that may seem clearly impossible, but makes a good story, makes a good point of trying to find the logic and the physics of each of the stories, characters, and more. Moving on. So, to moving on into the end, the conclusion in all this, the writing and physics play together plays an integral role in both science, progress, and physics education. Within the scientist community, clears the conscience of writing enables research to effectively communicate their experiments, theories, and hypotheses, collaborating and knowledge dissemination. By ensuring comprehensibility, physicists and strengthens the connection between the research society promoting broader understanding and engagement. Additionally, integrating physics concepts into narratives, stories, animes, and comics present an engaging teaching approach. Through this method, educators can make complex scientific ideas more accessible and enjoyable, sparking interest in subjects and enhancing critical skills among students. Leveraging writing as a bridge between complex concepts and wider understanding not only enriches the education but also facilitates the science literacy among borders and audience. So you may be asking, what was I did I just say in this presentation? So basically, what I said was that writing has an important factor in many areas in the physics area. So whether it's for a research, whether it's for making stories make look more interesting, making things in physics of fantasy look more logical. In both terms of the writing stories and research, it applies to very good things on our everyday pop culture and society that we use physics now. So I want to thank again Miss Fariba for this lesson. And here's my presentation for the, the connection between physics and writing into several areas, which will I hope you enjoyed and hope it got your creativity and your education levels a little bit higher with this. I'm Jairo Cisneros, and this project was for my physics class for Miss Fariba Ansari. Thank you very much, and I have a wonderful day and night.